Morning guys, I ain't done an update for a while. As you probably can see, I'm back in the UK and today is actually my father's funeral. I've had some good and bad events. Obviously my father's passing was the worst event. So I'd actually come into the UK to meet with a company in the UK. And basically my father got sick the same day. And never recovered. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is not just basically on an update, but also to talk about Movember, which was with an M. Movember is to do with growing a mustache and highlighting men's health, because I do think it's important, being of a certain age, that guys actually do more to look after themselves. And you know I push about medical cover and stuff already. That's not because I'm obsessed with medical insurance, but I know what's happened to other people in the past. I would say that the NHS failed my father as well, but I'm not going too much into my own family's details at the minute, simply because it's a family affair. But I do think that having a checkup annually and doing a bit more to be proactive and make sure you're in good health is very preventative, and I specialise in preventive and reactive maintenance relating to buildings. So I have to do this stuff as a human being because it actually makes sense. So yeah, I just want to highlight that. It is Movember. If you look for Movember with an M, there's a load of stuff on men's health and stuff, and I do think men don't look after themselves as much as they should do, and a lot of people die because of it. Simple as that. Moving past that. Yeah, so today I'm off to the funeral. I've also started working with a new construction and facilities company in the UK. A lot of it is database driven, a lot of it is spreadsheet driven and price structures, which is what I like, because it allows remote working, it allows the flexibility of working patterns as well, because that's one of the things that's important to me. Is I don't like a 9 to 5, not because I have something about work hours, but often I find that 9 to 5 isn't as productive as actually coming down to do a project, hitting it for 2 or 3 hours, get a bit of brain drain, so you go out for a bit, do a bit of walking, come back, hit it for another 2 hours, then go out again, then come back, and then you've broken the day up, but also it's far more productive. Because I find if you go to work, for a lot of the cases, in my cases, it's like wherever it is, it's at least an hour and a half travel, so you lose 3 hours a day in travel, which is normally in your time, which takes your working day up to at least 11 hours a day. But also, the first thing you do when you get in an office is you go and see people, have a chat, then boot your computer up, then you're dealing on the phone and things like that, where when you're remote working, you can come down, start your work, you've hit the ground running, deal with the tasks that are important. But also, for example, this weekend I'll be doing work because I need to understand some new spreadsheets and the formulas around it. So the point being is I work it to the project. So in fact, a lot of the time the company is actually more beneficial in that sense, because things are generally, by me, I pull them forward, they don't go back. I don't ask for more time, I actually work it to make more time, because I'm using the hours more productively around what's needed and when. So yeah, I'm now working for a large company in the UK, mainly around large-scale projects, and looking forward to it. Yeah, been doing it the last few days. There was a bit of delay getting started because of my father's condition, and also there's a bit of initial setup issues as well. So, job done. Going backwards and forwards to Spain, that will still occur, but it's going to be a lot more focus around work at the minute. As time goes on, and I understand how the contracts are running and etc., there'll be a bit of hopping in and out, but it's to everybody's benefit. So Spain will continue, and I'll be here as well. But also we're going to be looking at purchasing the apartment we're in Spain as well. But I'm not going to jump the gun on that, quite simply because we haven't made an offer, we haven't sorted the mortgage yet. It's just something we're putting on the table at the minute. But yeah, quite simply I haven't updated because I've been very busy. But also there hasn't been that much to talk about beyond what's been going on in the last 3 weeks, which is stuff that I haven't really wanted to expand out into the YouTube arena, simply because it's all family related and more important to deal with the issues rather than talk about the issues. Yeah, one of the things I do recommend as well is leave a will somewhere where people can locate it. Because one of the things that has been an issue and become a bigger issue is around inheritance as well. Myself, I'm not fussed, you know, in the sense, if I found a will and I got nothing in it, I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. My main concern is my brothers and them staying in their own home. So whatever happens, that's going to be my paramount thing on that. But no will creates conflict between certain individuals that think they were getting more than they expected. Well, sorry, they expected more than they're entitled to. And I do use entitled in a funny way as well, because I don't believe anybody's got a guaranteed entitlement beyond probate. And I am thankful that if we can't find the will, the probate is very simple in England, in the sense that it's split between the siblings. So in our case, there's 4 of us, so it's 25% of the estate split between each individual. Should remove all the issues around certain people, but I'll hold my breath for that. Well, sorry, I won't hold my breath on that one, but quite simply, I just want that over and done with. So my brothers can get on with their lives, and I'll be here a few days a week to make sure they're okay, and at the same time, it gives me a little base when I'm here to work from, when I've got meetings around the UK, because one of the things with my work, even in the UK, is it's not in a specific location. It's all over. I mean, it's all England, but it's anywhere from Manchester, Liverpool, Portsmouth, London. I've got locations all over the country, and that won't change. If anything, there'll be more, not less, locations to go to over the time. So yeah, that's it. What else can I say? Yeah, make sure you do a will. Make sure it's with somebody that actually lists it on the will register as well, because there is actually a will register, which should make it the whole process more simple. But I know companies go into receivership, they close down or whatever, but if this document's kept somewhere and a copy kept in a box where everybody knows where it is, and it doesn't need to be the latest will either. That's the thing, you could alter it as long as the lawyer and that's the same. It's job done. In case you get somebody expecting to inherit nearly everything, and you've left it all to the cat home, you don't have to have that argument with them, because you can leave the written on such and such and then nip down to your lawyer and then update it with today's date, and they won't be any the wiser. Just to keep the bloody peace, because at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's your inheritance. People should be telling you how you should leave your money to people. So, can we spin something onto something positive? Yeah. I've got to admit, I've been talking to a lot more people that have moved to Spain. It's been nice. There's some new additions to where we are near Torrevieja in Spain. It's good to have some new people, and it's been good to see the support in the area as well. That's one of the things I do find a bit peculiar being back in the UK. It does seem... It's definitely not the country I left 10 years ago and hop backwards and forwards. It seems to be deteriorating. The knife crime, for example, seems to be excessive now in the UK, and I'm seeing a lot more armed violence, you know, in the sense of armed robberies, etc. And these scooter gangs and stuff are becoming a major problem. But at the same time, I do think there needs to be more done. I do think that the government's too slow to react, and I do think that the laws need to be much, much harsher on them. But I'll keep my own opinions of those sort of things to myself. But it does seem that crime seems to be increasing. It does seem that everybody I speak to is not happy. And that's just an observation, and actually people telling me, because that's how Spain is, and I say, you know, the kids are having a great time at school, you know, the weather's good most of the time, etc. And nearly everybody has said how negative the UK is. Nobody said, well, it's nice here, or whatever, it's cold, worried about crime, worried about the immigration issues. Very little is upbeat. And it is sad, but I also look at the media here, because I don't really follow it when I'm overseas. And the media is negatively focused. And I know I mentioned that a lot of the stories are fake anyway, when they say could have, should have, maybe, possibly, our sources. When all of this is actually nothing more than somebody making something up, because none of it can be validated. That they focus on fear. And they focus on stirring up racial issues, and they focus on the negative aspects of life. But at the same time, nobody's actually saying, this is a problem, this is how we're going to fix it. It seems a lot of it is just like bad, 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 bad. Complain, complain, complain. There's nobody driving any solutions. And I know things like the robberies and stuff are a difficult thing to actually deal with. But what is the root causes? Why do people feel this entitlement to rob other people, and also the fact that they have no empathy or regret or fear of the state? Those are questions that should be asked. Because I can understand why people haven't got any empathy or things like that these days, is because everybody tells you should have the latest iPhone, be driving a BMW, should be having a big house. None of it actually mentions this very peculiar word that seems so obsolete and outdated. It's called work. There is nothing about work and reward. There's nothing about doing a job and being treated and respected. It's about the next job. It's about pushing forward. Now, if you ask me, can I give an example of that? Well, I was talking to somebody about the cleaners at a location about a year ago. And they were getting looked down on by these, well, they were students. And I said, you know what? I said, they get out of bed every day. They go to work, have to put up with people like you complaining at them. And you know what? They pay their taxes, they pay their bills, they save for their future. And at the same time, the environment you are living in and working in is only clean because of those people. Now, there is nothing wrong with being a janitor or whatever. There's nothing wrong with it at all. If anything, it's a job that has allowed their children to have an education. It's a job that gives that person dignity and pride in the fact that they're paying their own way. The people I'm talking to, these students, they have yet to have their first job. And a lot of the time, their education is either on their parents' money or it's on the government loans. Either way, they're still freeloading. And it doesn't matter how you cut it. I know some people say, it's not freeloading, I'll have to pay this back or whatever. But guess what? Up at that point, you're still not contributing in a way, a positive way for the state. You know, at the end of the day, or your environment. You know, getting educated is one thing, but if you get educated in the wrong thing, all it is a waste of money. You know, and then I'm not getting into the socialist argument that people should be able to study what they want. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I just shouldn't have to pay for it. If you're getting a course in something that's completely useless, taxpayers shouldn't pay for it. If you decide to get a job and go back to university on a night or a home study or something in something that is a hobby, nothing wrong with it. It's not at my cost. And that's one of the things I do want to stress on that. I do think education needs overhauling as well, because there's the pricing's getting a bit out of control on many courses. But yeah, it's been interesting being back. Went to Nandos with my brothers as well. Nandos was quite good. I've got to admit, I do miss Nandos. That's one of the things I do miss when I go overseas. And I know it's a chain restaurant, shock horror, but I do like the peri-peri in there for my own sins. So yeah, I do enjoy going back there when I can. So that was one of the first restaurants we've been to, and one of the things we're starting to look at doing regular is actually going out for meals on a regular basis together, you know, a weekly thing. Talked to April and the kids about coming over to the UK just on a short holiday, because I'll be honest, there's the next question somebody's already asked, would we move to the UK? The answer's no. Don't want to live in the UK. I'm quite happy to work here and be here, but the kids are settled in Spain. Education's good in Spain. They're already through a process where they'll become Spanish citizens. To come to the UK and start all over again would be utter madness. I'm not worried about Brexit. I think Brexit's just going to drag on. That's the other thing. I don't think it's going to be conclusive, and anything that's short term will be short term, because there's too much money and lives at stake. What do I mean? People are anti-immigration, yet the NHS, I would assume, around 25% of their working staff is actually from the EU or non-EU. So you've got about a quarter of your medical staff are not even from the United Kingdom. So there's one reason that the immigration thing is very scary at the minute, in the sense if they decided to cut it all off, it will have an effect in the UK in quite a detrimental way in quite a quick period of time. Second one is that some of that's already flagging up around the 5-year rule, and I think it's £36,000 that you've got to get to for settlement in the UK. People can correct me on this because I'm not up to date with it these days, but the point being is a lot of like Filipino nurses and nurses from other parts of the world are looking at the US and other places quite simply because the UK is now less favourable, because they cannot become a permanent addition to the United Kingdom population. So why come here? And that's the point. You know, if you've got skills and the country doesn't want you, fine, go somewhere else. But at the same time, I do think in the long run that'll actually be not cost effective for the UK, because they're going to have to compete with other countries price-wise to encourage people to actually come here, which then puts the price of the NHS up because the medical bill will go up. It all has a knock-on effect somewhere. So I don't think there's going to be too much on the immigration stuff, because quite simply the UK is reliant on it. A lot of Spanish doctors and nurses work in the UK. Same as the UK has a lot of things like Polish doctors and dentists and things, etc. It's become very embedded in that, and the reversal will be difficult. But am I pro or anti-Brexit? I've got to admit, I'm pro-Europe and I'm anti-corruption. This sovereignty issue is an issue because people talk about sovereignty, but I'd have to get them to define what they mean, because I think to a different individual it means a different thing. My personal view is I don't see the point of the UK becoming fully integrated into the EU. At the same time, I don't see the point of having multiple governments. But at the same time, I do think the UK should have done more within the EU anyway. I don't think we've had enough good representation. And that's my personal opinion. So when people go, it's their fault, it's this fault, I'm just like, look, I think more needs to be done around why things weren't done first time round, if we end up staying, whether we like it or not. And I say that in the sense that the way things are at the moment, I can't see things getting pushed through Parliament very easy, and I can't see things being pushed through the EU very easily. I can see Theresa May being forced to step down. At the same time, a whole new ream of elections and delaying tactics going on for a period of time. which is why I'm not really fussed about the Brexit right now. I do think, where will we be? I think there's bigger problems out there right now, and Brexit is lower on my list of things of importance right now. Do I still recommend living in Spain? Yeah, I love Spain. I do find that the people we have in our area are very good, and we've got some good neighbours, good friends, and it's a good lifestyle. The cost of living for our family is €1,600 a month. That's private medical insurance. That's the school meals for the kids. Also, there are activities, because they have after-school activities as well. That's every bill: satellite TV, internet, electric, rent, gas, everything. €1,600 a month for a family of 4. Because I've had a few people ask me how much they need to live in Spain, and I would say, if you're single, you can live on much less, but it depends where you live. You can find some units for about 220 to €300 around, little studios or one-bedroom places, because a lot of them are difficult to rent out, because obviously most people go as a couple or as a family, you've got kids or whatever, so a lot of those places can be difficult for people that find long-term tenants anyway, or even short-term tenants. So the prices on those are pretty cheap, but I mean, our place is $440 a month, and it's right next to the beach, right next to the nature park, got the bakery behind us, got the butchers nearby, the greengrocers, small supermarket, post office, everything's on our doorstep. It's like a little village. And I think the population of Torrevieja in holiday season moves from around 100,000 to 1 million, just for an idea of population. It may actually be 10,000. I'm not 100%. So the 10 or 100,000 moves to about 1 million. And that's why it gets quite busy in the holiday season, which is the worst time of year to be there. And I find my Spanish neighbours all go to their other apartments, because they all seem to have a second place in Madrid or Barcelona or Bilbao. Because one of the things where we do live is a lot of the people are not from the UK. That's why I get people comment about people going to there from the UK. I've got to admit, the majority of people are either from Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, or they're Swedish, from the Netherlands, or parts of Scandinavia, etc. We don't really have that much of a big English population or British population. They seem to be from everywhere else, which I like. I like the cosmopolitan bit of having lots of people from different places, and it doesn't become a little Brit town, which is something I do avoid. I'd hate to live in somewhere like a Benidorm type scenario. It's just not me. But anyway, I've nattered on long enough. It was just a little an update, just to say thanks for the guys watching the channel, and thanks for the guys for the support relating to my father's situation, and also for those that message and ask me where's my update. Here it is. Thanks.